Hi, I'm Michelle Mertz.
Hi, I'm William Jaynes.
Hi, I'm Clayton Brockway.
And I'm Marszalek. So for our project, as you can see, we did the ultimate pumpkin carving helper because obviously it's a major problem in the fall times that we're in. So here's the video. I'll have to narrate because when I did this, I didn't. So what I'm doing currently here is so we did kind of like a pen because we felt that it would track better than using like your finger like we had initially thought. So what I do here is I set it up. We do HSV filtering. So I'm gonna get rid of all the colors except the blue. Takes me a minute. This is always the hardest part of the program. So as you can see, I filtered all the colors out except the blue, as you can see on the right side. And then here, I run it through another filter. I run it through like a 5x5 kernel filter just to highlight and expand it a little bit more. As you can see, it's got kind of like a white outline around it. Because in the next step, I put a bounding box around it just to make sure that it's tracking really properly and everything. And then we get to the drawing. And so then my front-facing camera tracks the expo marker in my hand like a pen, like the nice little touch pen I have for my Surface Pro. And it allows me to draw on the front-facing camera and then whatever objects I put in front of it. So as we already did, we introduced ourselves as the ultimate pumpkin carving helper. Introduction is that I'm really bad at carving my pumpkin, and that this was just kind of a fun project that I proposed to our group and we went with. But yeah, I'm bad at carving the pumpkin. Like even I put like the traceable things on it, like those pieces of paper. I don't do it very well. So I thought, why not do something with my machine vision class and try and get it right. As I said before, as I go through all the technical problems, my bad. Pumpkin carving, not my specialty. So I wanted to do it with machine vision and I guess do it right.
So it was important for us to understand the timeline before actually getting started on the project because we were very limited on time with only 2 weeks. So I'll just discuss the process we followed. So first we needed to decide on a project and submit a design proposal. We toyed with a few different ideas, but ultimately decided on doing this. From there, we actually began to start doing our research on the project. A lot of time was spent on this, just looking at different programs that are currently out there and toying with those different ideas to implement our design. From there, we were actually able to start writing and testing our code and modifying it. And that was the largest chunk of what our project was, just doing a lot of modifying and testing in order to get something to work. Finally, by yesterday, we were able to finalize our code, create a PowerPoint and an Expo poster, and then submit it all to Moodle and do our presentation in front of you all. Next slide. So this just entails like the high level design of what our project really is. Essentially what is taking place is a user is using hand motions. Those hand motions are getting tracked and then it creates a drawing on the screen. So there's a blackened screen and one that displays the pumpkin. So when we do the drawing, the overlay of the drawing gets put onto the pumpkin and the user is able to see what their pumpkin would look like if they were to use that carving. Next slide.
This is a small sample of our code, and in this part, This is where we create the 6 track bars that will control the lower and upper range of the hue, saturation, and value channels. The arguments are like name of track bar, the window name, the range, and the callback function. And for the hue, the range is 0 to 179. And for the saturation value, it goes from 0 to 255. And this allows us to only see the tip of the marker, which makes it easier for us to track. Next slide. And then this is another small sample. And what it creates a mask. And what this allows us to do is go from whatever's drawn on the one window, mask it, and put it on the other, the live feed. So this is where our drawing actually gets transferred to the live pumpkin. And then next slide. And then this is ultimately where everything gets displayed. And then this is what allows you to see what you can see.
So these 3 windows are going to show what our results really are. So the first one up in the corner right here is going to describe the track bar feature. So it allows you to adjust your output windows so that you're able to just define the actual marker itself. Once you're able to do that, it gives you an output window where you're able to verify that you are able to just see that marker alone. And then the third and final window allows for the output drawing to be seen on first the blackened screen and then mirrored onto the live video feed of the pumpkin. Next slide.
All right, so for the problems encountered, we began trying to map the pumpkin using a basic color thresholding method. We would track the color orange, locate the center of the pumpkin, and then show a general circle around the pumpkin. Now, it did provide an overall decent way of tracking the pumpkin color, given the pumpkin was the only thing in the camera feed. Now, the drawbacks for this were the tracker would lock onto any object in the view that had the same threshold, so it wouldn't isolate the pumpkin in particular. By fine-tuning the color thresholding and masking, we were able to come to a solution for it and track an image in a live video. Next slide, please. Now, the biggest issue that we had was selecting the drawing outline from one video and then transfer that to another video. In the early stages, we attempted to overlay the 2 videos while only showing the drawn portion from one. For a while, we were restricted to copying the drawing output to a blank canvas. But to fix this, we used color thresholding track bars and masks to isolate the drawing, then stack directly onto the next video. All right, next slide.
Well, sorry, I just want to say one thing. Honestly, like the 2 camera live feeds running at the same time, like it seems like such a simple issue now. Like to be fair, like, yeah, it's just like changing a few variables in the Python code, but like for some reason, at least personally, I couldn't figure it out. So it like stonewalled us for a decent amount of time.
So I'm just gonna touch on the conclusions that we came up with. So the group ultimately was able to achieve the goal that we set out to be accomplished. While some aspects of the design could certainly be improved upon, the final design provides a working example of a machine vision application promoting both interactivity and creativity for the user. Had we been given more time, the group could refine the project to enable more accurate tracking of the user's hand motions, as well as for the superimposed drawing to be mapped with the pumpkin when movement takes place. So currently right now, if you were to take the live feed of the pumpkin and move it around, the face would not be tracking with that movement. So that was something we really wanted to have implemented, but because of time, we are unable to get that. But in a greater scope, the project could certainly be used for other applications other than just pumpkin carving. We chose pumpkin carving just because the fall spirit and Halloween, but we could certainly see that there's different applications for something like this. But regardless, the project certainly strengthened the group's understanding of machine vision and helped improve our ability to work with OpenCV and other machine vision applications. All right, next slide.
That's it. So that's all I got.
Oh, yeah, it was just a question and answer, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I guess I should point out I've been told in the chat by Tom and Lucas that if I turn off my camera, I can get it to work for the
Okay,
live demo.
if you have the live demo, go ahead. You can show it to us now.
Yeah.
It's a different challenge to show it online also.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. You know what? And you did it before. See, now it's got it. But I need to. You guys see it?
Nope.
Not
No.
yet. We're seeing your code right now. So you have to select the share
Yeah,
this where video is coming.
There we go.
There you go.
There we are.
Wow. We're gonna go with most of me. It gets the point across.
Yeah,
So-
that's fine.
Yeah. So, but here is that I'm slowly but surely filtering out all the other colors except the blue. I tried it with other colors. I actually had like a light green that I was using. And honestly, it was incredibly difficult to filter everything out but it. See, with the blue, I make a couple movements and then we got the blue. So bear with me, I'm going to disappear. So I've actually set the code up is that this will be saved in an array, and then it will get saved in like a separate file that I'll call upon later. So I'm going to close it with S to save. And now I'm back again. So this is just, as I showed in the demo, this is just, I run it through another type of filtering to try and eliminate, well, to try and get like a bolder picture on it for the bounding boxes to pick up easier. Gosh, this is clunky.
There you are.
This is the bounding box.
Excellent.
It gets a little confused. That's kind of why I cover it, but obviously I'm sure that I can filter it more and do to get a better picture, not better picture quality. If I don't trip over words, to make it learn a little bit better.
Thank you, Adam. That was good. Guys, you did a good job. I know when you started, you had ideas to track it on 3D pumpkin and all the image, and you couldn't get to it. I understand the time was limited, but at least you delivered. That's the main thing. You got something working and tracking and all that stuff. So that's a good accomplishment. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to open up for questions and answers. Anybody who has a question, please go ahead.
Hi, it's Kathy. I was just wondering what HSV filtering was. I understand that it's sort of like color filtering, but I just wanted to know like more about it since you guys used it.
Yeah, so it's like at least the way I understand it is that it's like a different type of color model that translates to the code better, and so it's kind of like the RGB is kind of like a square and the HSV is kind of a cylinder, and so it has like specific angles and such for the colors. So it allows, at least from my understanding, it allows code to pick it up better than it would say like RGB, because RGB you just get like values, and so this eliminates some of the values, at least to my knowledge.
I have a question. Can you track with a shape instead of a color?
No, currently I just have it set up for colors.
Okay.
So a question from me. So yes, HSV is a good way to track colors because you don't get into issues of lighting. dark and light. You're tracking a color, not the shade of the, not the actual brightness of the color. So it's a much more robust way to track color. Did you look into teaching it using machine learning? Did you thought about that?
I did. I tried. I couldn't find. I guess like I didn't quite look enough because it was something that like kind of came up last minute. Like last minute in my head, I'm like, why am I not like teaching this with machine learning? Because I would have loved to have taught like the pumpkin, so then I get the bounding box around the pumpkin and get like, you know, a % accuracy. Honestly, I just didn't have time and I didn't think about it until too late.
That's okay. And other questions? Anybody else? If you guys don't ask, then I will keep asking.
I've got one that's
Yeah.
a bit out of the box. Out of curiosity, so the tracking is interesting and awesome, and I'm definitely down with that. If you could have, say, 4 months to take it full vision to completion, how would you have it like assist someone in carving the pumpkin? What is your idea for how that would apply beyond that?
Ideally, what I would like is, so I'd like it to track the pumpkin, first set up like a bounding box, you know, determine that, hey, I'm actually looking at a pumpkin. And then I would personally, I would want it to be able to recognize that like, this is like the surface area of the pumpkin and this is like the carving area that we have. And then I would like it, I guess, to almost like kind of bound that off for me. And then I can take the panner tracker, draw on that, close out of the program, take like a screenshot of it, and then it's kind of like one of those printable pages that you have, but you designed it yourself.
So
I
That
agree.
works.
go ahead.
And
Go
I,
ahead.
and I certainly think if we had more time to actually have the ability to do a tracking with the movement of the pumpkin would be something a lot more beneficial, because like we said, it's basically just locked to the screen. So if you were to move the pumpkin around, it just wouldn't move with it. So it's up to the user to place the pumpkin properly in front of the screen so that the drawing can be shown onto it.
So have you guys seen the CGI effects in movies where, you know, somebody's face is replaced by somebody else, or you do
Yeah.
all that?
Mhm.
And if you look at the actual screen, they have dots on their faces.
Yeah.
You got to track a 3D object. So maybe you could put some dots on the pumpkin, and now you can track it in 3D, and then you can superpose on the surface of the pumpkin images. So yeah, that's next level. But you guys had the idea, and I think you can improve on it. So what's the most interesting thing you learned while doing this project? Any one of you can answer.
I think just how beneficial the HSV was. It really made it easy to track, and it made it really easier for us.
But it was really helpful being able to manipulate two video outputs and then combine them together into one.
I think the design process itself, just how much trial and error we went through, because I think that really just speaks to the actual engineering process. Like in industry, you're going to go through a lot of that. So just the ability to really spend time working with so many different applications and then finally having one work and going with that was cool.
I agree with the design process. I always forget how difficult it is to just think of something on your own, no guidance, nothing, and it's all up to you. And you know, you're the one who has to decide what's important and what's not important to include.
Thank you. I mean, this is one of the things for the open-ended projects is all up to you. Pick a topic that you can do within the time frame. It's important to do. You guys did very good. One last question, if nobody else has it. You had a experimental way of isolating the blue color, right, for tracking, for the marker, for example. You think you can automate that? I mean, easier way than each track bar. How would you take the next step to maybe automate that? So you can just say, I want to just give it a color value, and it will select that.
I mean, honestly, I guess like to think about it, because I did think about that a little bit. I personally, I don't know. I guess maybe I would try and look into like a little bit of like an algorithm, something that I can run like a still image through and highlight like, you know, the bright colors, and then I can filter it some more.
Yeah, I could imagine it being a little complicated if you're not in a neutral area, because if you have other colors in the background, it's going to probably go and detect those. So you would really need to have that neutral background initially, and then you could like choose it from a spectrum, I guess. But it's definitely something that would be interesting to implement.
Yep, great. This is why one of our guests asked about shape tracking, and that might be a little more robust if you have a particular shape. But then you'll probably be using machine learning algorithms to do it.
Yeah, then you're using the neural net and the bounding boxes and stuff. The color tracking is, I guess it's a bit simple, rather than something like shapes and actual machine learning.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.